All right, guys, welcome to So You Want to Write a Musical with Holly Earth Richards. It was so much fun getting to spend time with all of you this past weekend at the Oregon Thespians State Festival, and I'm glad that we're able to stay connected. All right, so we did a school shout out. I know I missed a lot of a lot of local schools, most importantly, all of the Salem schools. And we were in Salem. So, my apologies, Salem schools. That was definitely an oversight on my part, but nonetheless, lovely to spend time with all of you. And I hope that your entire weekend at the Oregon Thespians Festival was a wonderful and educational fun time for each of you. There's nothing that I love more than helping young ones grow their love for theater and be able to experience its magic. So, who am I? I'm a playwright, a composer, a lyricist, a member of the Dramatists Guild, Linestorm Playwrights, and also Maestra Music. Dramatists Guild and Maestra are New York City based. Linestorm is a local collective of professional playwrights. We are the writing team in residence at Artist Repertory Theater downtown in Portland. I also love nature. I love going out camping. And I'm also a mother of, wow, look at that, 8 kids. I have a blended family with my husband Derek. 4 are mine, 4 are his. They are all wonderful, the best kids ever, and I'll fight you on that. All right, so we're going to learn how to write a musical in 1 hour. But also false. This is impossible. Can't do it in 1 hour. But what we can do in this time is get to know the basic components of a musical. We can talk generally about process, get you started with some ideas of how to go about starting to write. And then we can talk about pathways to production. How do you actually get your stuff up on a stage so that you can see it, hear it, and continue to make changes or continue into more productions. So first we're going to talk a little bit about source material. Where are you going to get your ideas? There are lots of different places that we can scour for material, but there are some things that are going to lend themselves to musicals and some that aren't. And so in general, material that is extremely high stakes, very emotional, is going to work well for musicals in that it lends itself to a heightened plane of communication. So it helps make sense that characters are singing, breaking out into song. That doesn't mean that it always has to be something epic. Some musicals are very intimate and small and all of that, but just make sure that whatever source material you are using, whether it's an original idea in your head or taken from somewhere else, that it has the kind of weight, or levity if it's a comedy, that lends itself to singing. In general, things like horror and in some cases mystery, those are quite hard to do as a musical. Not impossible. Sweeney Todd is my favorite show of all time. It's not impossible, it's just harder to do, harder to pull off. When a character sings, it makes them instantly more vulnerable and likable. So it's hard to keep a villain if they're a singing character in general. But that's not to say it can't be done. So the different places that we can get our material, we can get it from novels, short stories, films, historical events and figures, plays, true stories, folklore, mythology, or original concepts. By far, original concepts are the hardest to write and to get produced. If this is your first time writing a show, I do recommend maybe writing a short musical using a short story that you like that's already written as an exercise. Anytime something is not in the public domain, you're going to need to get the rights to have it produced anywhere. You can write anything that you want, whether or not they've given you the rights. You can still write it and have it for yourself. But if you do want to present it and have it go any further than your own living room, you will need to get rights if it's not in the public domain. Original concepts, it's all yours. It's in your brain. You made it up. You can go for it. All right, so talking about the basic components of a musical, there are 3 basic components, and those are the book, which is another word for the script or the story that goes behind the music and the lyrics, or the words that are sung, and the music. So these 3 things make up a musical. By far the most important component and the unsung hero of all musicals is the book. The book, the spine of the story, the script, what happens, that is most important. And the music and the lyrics, no matter how good they are, cannot make up for a book that is not strong. So spend time on that book. Now, sometimes musicals are sung through, and there's no actual spoken lines. So do they still have a book? Well, the answer is yes, 100%, because there is still a spine of a story. There's still a plot. There still is this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. That is the book in its most basic form. So you've got to have a story that's satisfying, or else the music and the lyrics cannot save it. Now, together, the book and lyrics are called the libretto. So that is often the script you're handed when you go to a rehearsal. You've got your musical score separate from your libretto, which has the dialogue, and often the lyrics are in all caps, written together in one big long script. That is the libretto. So if you've heard that word before, now you know what it means. So let's talk a little bit about process. The question that I get most often is, what comes first, the music or the lyrics? And when I asked all of you when we were together in the room, many people said, well, it depends, which is absolutely true. For some, lyrics are going to come first. For some, music are going to come first. For writing teams, there might be someone who's writing the book, someone who's writing the music, someone who's writing the lyrics, and so it's kind of an all-together effort. Everyone's going to find their own process. But as far as what should come first, the answer is neither. Really, what is very important, as I said before, the book reigns supreme. So spend a lot of time considering your story. This isn't to mean that once you've decided what your story is, that you're locked in and it can't change and you can't make edits and you can't move things around. That's not the case at all. But you do want to make sure that you have a very strong foundation of story before you spend a lot of time song spotting, which we will learn in just a minute, and writing songs, because if you don't know where the character is in the story at that time, it's pretty hard to connect emotionally with what needs to happen in that song to set up the story to continue moving on in a believable and satisfying way. So do a lot of talking with your writing team. If you write on your own, do talking to a trusted partner. I don't recommend spending a lot of time talking to a whole bunch of people about your ideas before you write. Not because I worry about anyone stealing your ideas. I have no worry about that. Just because sometimes as writers, we get our kicks from telling people about our really great ideas, and then we kind of get that reward prematurely without doing the work. So I recommend having 1 or 2 people that you really trust, that you can bounce ideas around, pitch them your story, your plot, book ideas, but then save the rest for the actual writing. Write the thing, and then let other people get to see it and comment on it. If you talk too early, it can kind of take the wind out of your sails. So don't do that to yourself. All right, so in any good story, whether it's a musical, whether it's a book, whether it's a short story, whether it's just a story you're telling your friends when you get to school in the morning, a good story is going to have a beginning, a middle, where stuff happens, and then there's going to be the big ordeal that we've been working toward this whole time, where The one thing that you know was going to happen, it happens. And then after that, we've got the happy and or the sad ending. So we've got to have these 4 touch points in any satisfying story. The beginning where we set everything up, the middle where stuff happens leading us toward the big ordeal. Do they get the thing they want? Do they not get the thing they want? And then we wrap it up in the denouement with the happy or sad ending. So how does this translate over to a musical? Well, the beginning of a musical is the opening number / I want song. These things need to come very, well, opening number obviously opens the show, but the I want song, if it's not the opening number, it needs to be either the second or third. Now, when we say I want song, what does that mean? Well, in every musical, and I'm going to teach you how to spot these, there is a song where the main character basically puts out into the universe what it is that they want, what it is they're dreaming about, what it is they hope for, and kind of gives us an idea of what's in their way, what's preventing them from getting this thing that they want. In some musicals, the opening number and the I Want song are one and the same. If you've seen Into the Woods, that's a perfect example where right away we're getting to meet all the characters, we're learning where we are, we're in a fairy tale land, and everyone's singing about the things that they wish for. So in that instance, it's one and the same. In another musical, let's say Hamilton, well, the opening number sets up the time and place, helps us get to know the characters. We continue getting to know the relationship between Hamilton and Aaron Burr in the second number, but it's not until the third number, My Shot, that we get to hear the I Want song for Alexander Hamilton, where he lays out what it is that he wants to do. He's not throwing away his shot. I'm going to get a scholarship to King's College. He lists out all the stuff, what he wants and what is in his way. In the middle, we've got to see in a musical something called the all-in moment. So we need to have a song where we see the emotional shift from I want, I'm wishing, I hope for, I dream of, to, oh, I am going to do this thing. So you're all in now. You're gone, you have moved from the, hopefully this happens in my life, to the, oh, this is gonna happen in my life moment as a character. Then in the big ordeal, everything we've been working toward, everything that we've been learning about and trying to get comes together in the big ordeal. In the musical world, this is going to be called the 11 o'clock number. And it's called that because it comes right before the end. If midnight is the end of a 24-hour day, the 11 o'clock number is right toward the end of the show, and it's where we get to see the big thing happen that we've all been waiting for. And we get to see, do they get what they want? Do they not? And then we're going to wrap it up with the finale. So let's go through a few examples. So we're going to start first with Wicked. So how do we go through this song spotting thing? Opening number. No one mourns the wicked. It sets up what's going to happen. The music itself is a character in that it tells us, oh, this is going to be very epic sounding, or an epic show. This is going to be a big story. It's communicated from the very beginning. We learn of Elphaba's beginnings, but it actually starts at the end. It starts with them coming out and singing, she's dead. The Witch of the West is dead, right? And then we go back in time to when she was born. And we get to see how nobody wants her. She's green, she's different. It sets up the underdog type of story so that we're ready to root for her. So then the I Want song is The Wizard and I. She spent her life being different from everyone and being embarrassed by that fact. And now she's learned that this difference actually maybe is going to give her a chance to meet the wizard, this really powerful being that hardly anyone ever gets to go meet, because you have to have an invitation to go meet him. You can't just walk in and meet him. And now she learns from Madame Morrible that actually she may get to. And when she does go to meet him, possibly he could degreenify her. And so we get to hear her wish. We get to hear her desire to meet him and to have him help her be normal, like she's always wanted. Then we're going to move on to the all-in moment, which is defying gravity. So we've gone from the I hope I can meet the wizard and possibly become normal to the oh, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to really embrace who I actually am. Step into my own power in that moment. Often the all-in moment song is going to come right before an act break if you are writing a musical that has Act 1, an intermission, and then Act 2. Normally that all-in moment often comes right before intermission. The 11 o'clock number, no good deed. So we've gotten to the point now where everything's gone awry, and she's decided that there's no more pandering to the world. No matter what I do, people think that I'm wicked. They want to use me as a scapegoat. And you know what? If that's the case, let it be known I'm wicked through and through. I'm never going to do anything good ever again. Now, we know that she isn't actually evil, unless she actually is trying to do good things. But this is where we see, is she going to be able to withstand all of the powers that are against her? Is she going to be able to hold her own? Now, the finale of Wicked, it's a little different. There is a finale that's just called finale, quotes, Wicked, but it's only about a minute and a half long, and it is basically just us watching Elphaba and Fiyero walk off into the distance. And we're like, okay, they're going to go do their thing, and Galinda's going to stay here and be the good witch and all of that. But the actual finale comes right between Galinda and Elphaba for good, as they talk about, hey, who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I've been changed for good. One thing that I should have said before, but, in a satisfying story, we've got to see some change. We've got to see that main character in the beginning and the end be two different people. They've gone through experiences during this time we've spent together, and we've seen them become, hopefully, a better version of themselves. In some shows, they're going to become worse, right? But it's often more satisfying to see someone overcome the things that were against them and become a better person. All right, so let's try another show. Let's take a look at Hadestown. So, opening number for Hadestown, The Road to Hell. We've got, all of the characters coming out on the stage. We're like, oh, okay. Oh, jazzy sound. Oh, we're in a jazz club, I think, but all of these characters being introduced are actually characters in Greek mythology, and we're getting to know that Hermes is going to be our narrator for the evening, and it's just really beautiful in setting up time and place and explaining exactly what's going to happen over the next couple hours. We know that, okay, we're in it, and we're going to have this really cool jazzy retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice. So then the I Want song, this one's a little tricky too for the I Want song here. It actually doesn't come until a little bit further into the show, and it's All I've Ever Known. So even though we've got Hades and Persephone as a B story in this show, kind of a love story on the side, yeah, the show really is about Orpheus and Eurydice. Okay, so this All I've Ever Known is when we finally get to see the vulnerability of Eurydice's character. She's finally brought the walls down. For the first part, even through the marriage song sequence, she's still got her guard up, and she's kind of playing a game, and we haven't seen actually her vulnerable what she wants side yet until All I've Ever Known. And then it becomes both of their I Want songs, where they're singing about all I've ever known is how to hold my own, but now I want to hold you. And it's really sweet, and it makes us want to root for the two of them as a couple. We want to see them end up together. So the all-in moment, wait for me, gorgeous, swinging the lights, incredible piece. It's beautiful. We love it. It doesn't come right before the act break. Right before the act break is when we've got Persephone with the anybody want a drink? And then it's lights out there, but it's close. It's close to the act break. This is where we see that Orpheus is willing to do anything to go and rescue Eurydice. Eurydice has kind of had a sadder, pulled back, all-in moment when she decides she's hungry and she's got to go take care of herself the only way she knows how. But all-in moment for Orpheus. Wait for me, I'm going to come get you. All right, so the 11 o'clock number in Hadestown, doubt comes in. So Orpheus makes it down to Hadestown. He begs Hades to let them go. He sings Hades a song at Hades' demand. Hades still isn't sure if he's going to let them go, but then he ends up saying they can go, but there's a trial involved. It's a test, and they've got to walk not side by side, but with Orpheus in front and Eurydice behind him. And that's how they're able to leave. But if he turns around because he starts to doubt that she's still behind him, then she will be in Hades forever. Hades gets to reclaim her soul, and that's the end of it for them. So doubt comes in. It's not sung by Orpheus or Eurydice. It's actually sung by the Fates, who represent the voices in our heads that keep us down, that keep us afraid, that keep us doubting ourselves and doubting the people around us. So we watch this, we're just hoping for them to make it, and then at the very end, sadly, he turns around, and Eurydice ends up heading right back down to Hadestown. It's really sad, it's tragic, and yet we're going to sing it again, and that's the message in the finale. But I would actually argue that the true finale doesn't come until after the curtain call, when they sing We Raise Our Cups, because that is what brings it all full circle, and where they get to bring the audience in to this idea of, even when life is hard, even when things don't work out, we still are going to do our best to keep going and to cheer each other on in that. So we're singing, we raise our cups to the people who are going through it. And that's how we can support each other and make the world a better place. It's really beautiful. I love it. The people who did it that showcased, you guys are incredible. It was amazing. All right. Third show, Sweeney Todd. I said it was my favorite show, and it is true. We're going to go through this one. Opening number, Ballad of Sweeney Todd. Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd. Attend the tale, not tell, of Sweeney Todd. His skin was pale and his eye was odd. It sets it all up, tells us who this show is about and why should we care. It's very spooky in nature. The tone tells us exactly what we're in for and sets up the basics of the story so that we are primed and ready for a really great spooky evening. The I Want song is My Friends. Some people would argue that it's the barber and his wife when Sweeney is telling Antony, the sailor that saved him, about the barber and his wife, and she was beautiful, and the history behind. But that's not what he wants. What he actually wants when he's come back is revenge. That's what he wants. He wants to kill the judge who ruined his life. And so My Friends is the song where he's reunited with his beautiful silver razors that Mrs. Lovett has saved. Mrs. Lovett owns a pie shop, She used to rent out the flat above her pie shop to Sweeney and his wife and their daughter before he was sent away by the judge. Now, Sweeney's name isn't actually Sweeney, it's actually Benjamin Barker, but he's come back and he's taken on this alias. But Mrs. Lovett recognizes him, says it really is you, Benjamin Barker. She pulls down the box of razors that she saved for him. And when he sees them, he's reunited and sings about, these are my friends, see how they glisten. He talks about how, friends, you're going to drop precious rubies, you're going to drip rubies, basically slitting the throat of the judge. And so that is his I Want song. We know he wants revenge. So now we know that's what we're working toward this whole time. Is he going to get the judge? Is he going to get him or is he not? The all-in moment is Epiphany. So the judge has come to his barbershop, and because Antony comes in at the worst possible moment and ruins it, the judge leaves, which has stolen from Sweeney his moment of revenge, which causes him to kind of descend into madness. And he starts singing about, like, okay, well, you know what? He was here, and now he's never going to come again. And so we all deserve to die. And he sings about how there's only two kinds of people in the world: the people that have their foot in someone else's face, and then the people who are being oppressed, and the people who, are evil, they deserve to die, and the people who are oppressed, it will be a relief to die. So we all deserve to die. So come to my shop. I'm ready to get you, bleeders. Come. It's a crazy number, but very effective and moving. So that's the all-in moment. 11 o'clock number. This one's a little bit tougher, because when it gets to this point of the show, there is more of a final scene, city on fire, kind of back to back to back, a bunch of little things that happen together. But as far as the song is concerned, Barbara and his wife is really that 11 o'clock number where the mystery is revealed. Spoiler alert, if you don't know the show. The beggar woman turns out to actually be his wife. She's Lucy. So his wife has been alive this whole time. His daughter's been alive this whole time. So this whole time he could have been with his wife and his daughter, but no, he instead allowed himself to be completely taken over by revenge, and in so doing, he has now actually killed the one thing that mattered to him. It's quite tragic, which then gets wrapped up in the finale, Ballad of Sweeney Todd reprise. So he ends up with his own throat slit by Toby. He's also thrown Mrs. Lovett into the fire, so basically he's killed everybody that's in his circuit, and then he gets what's coming to him when Toby slits his throat. And then the Ballad of Sweeney Todd reprises the very first number, but all the characters are coming out with their slit throats and the blood running down, and it's so fabulous. Can I just say, it's an amazing show. If you are queasy at all, I get it. You don't want to do it, I get it, but I just love it. It's so beautifully written. All right. So I hope now that you're kind of able to song spot. You're going to look through any shows that you love, and you're going to be able to figure out, okay, I see the opening number. They're setting up what we're going to do for the next couple hours, who it is I need to root for. I see the I Want number, what that character wants. I can see their all-in moment. Oh, that's the 11 o'clock number. And okay, there's that finale that wraps up those loose ends. Look for those things, and when you're writing, try to make sure that your show, well, definitely, not just try, make sure your show has those touch points in its songs. All right, so we're talking about lyrics now. So musical theater lyrics and pop lyrics, they've got some differences. It's not that one's bad and one is good. They're just different. All right, so with musical theater, what we're really aiming for is perfect rhyme. And I have the example there of gratitude, latitude. So the inner part of the word and the end part of the word are exactly the same in sound. So attitude is there in the middle and end of both of those. So the goal is exact assonance, vowel sounds, and consonants, consonant sounds. Now it's important to note that that doesn't mean that the words have to be spelled the same in those rhyming components. In fact, it doesn't even have to be one word. It can be one word, two words that are spelled completely differently, but the vowel sound and the consonant sounds are the same. Stephen Sondheim is the master of this, and I've got an example here of some lyrics from Sweeney Todd, A Little Priest, which takes place right after Epiphany. So another example of where the all-in moment didn't happen right before act break. It does Epiphany and then A Little Priest, and then we have the act break, because they're setting up that, like, oh no, they're going to grind the people up and put them in meat pies right before intermission, so that you're like, what? And you want to come back. So these lyrics, lawyer's rather nice, if it's for a price, order something else though to follow, since no one should swallow it twice. Anything that's lean? Well then, if you're British and loyal, you might enjoy Royal Marine. Anyway, it's clean, though of course it tastes of wherever it's been. So I've color-coded the words that are exact, perfect rhymes with each other. So all of the orange ones are perfect rhymes, the pink ones are perfect rhymes, etc. This entire song is a masterclass in lyric writing, so I highly, highly recommend that you listen to and study A Little Priest from Sweeney Todd. Now let's go ahead and compare this with some pop lyrics. So pop lyrics, you're going to hear imperfect rhyme all the time. Things like home, alone. They've got the same vowel sound in the middle, but the M and the N are not exactly the same. Writing like this is seen as lazy in the musical theater industry. Now I want to again say that it doesn't mean that pop songs are bad. It is just seen as lazy in the musical theater industry. It's just a different way to write songs, okay? So if you have a lot of imperfect rhymes in your musical, you're going to get a lot of pushback, and you'll get a lot of feedback about that from people. And you're going to need to be prepared for that. So I recommend that you just really practice hard at getting good at perfect rhyme. One of the greatest things you can do for yourself is get a good rhyming dictionary. I have an old Clement Wood rhyming dictionary. It is my pride and joy. And yes, good writers use rhyming dictionaries. It doesn't make you any less of a writer. It can help open up ideas that you didn't know were in there. There are rhyming dictionaries online. You can go to rhymezone.com and do the same thing there, but sometimes it's kind of nice to have actual book to, turn the pages and use the book. Anyway, let's take a look at some lyrics by Sabrina Carpenter. So this is Nonsense, and there aren't any perfect rhymes in this at all. I'll be honest, looking at you got me thinking nonsense. Cartwheels in my stomach when you walk in, and when you got your arms around me, ooh, it feels so good, I had to jump the octave. I think I got an X, but I forgot him, and I can't find my chill, I must have lost it. I don't even know, I'm talking nonsense, I'm talking. So as you can see, there's no perfect rhymes in there at all, but in pop music, we kind of forgive it. It has a general feeling of going together, and I don't know. Now, there are exceptions in the musical theater world as far as imperfect rhyme, and Hadestown is actually one of them. You're going to hear a lot of imperfect rhymes in Hadestown. That is because the writer, Anais Mitchell, comes from the folk music world, the indie music world. She does not come from the musical theater world. She had nothing to do with musical theater prior to Hadestown. And even when she began to write Hadestown, it was a concept album. It was something that she would kind of do in people's living rooms and kind of tour around as like a song cycle, but not necessarily a show. But the more and more she worked on it and the more and more feedback she got, people were really interested in seeing it developed into a story. So she continued down the theater road, but she's gotten continuous pushback from all of the creative teams and producer teams that she's worked with. They've really butted heads over perfect rhyme / imperfect rhyme. And so the words that are in the show today, the lyrics in the show today, are there because she fought tooth and nail for them to say, no, this is actually specifically what I want. Because often it's seen in musical theater that if there are imperfect rhymes, it's because you were just too lazy to find the perfect rhyme. And she fought to say, no, I chose these words particularly for very specific reasons. And they allowed her to keep them, which is, it's pretty incredible that she held her own against those musical theater baddies that are trying to squash her joy. But no, so that is an exception to the rule. Just know that if you do want imperfect rhyme in your show, that you're going to have to choose it very, very specifically for a reason, and then you're going to have to fight for it. Somebody will call you on it. All right, so process of writing lyrics. This is my general process. I start with something I call a diggler that I learned from Jay Pontieri, who was a poetry professor of mine at Merrillhurst, where he would encourage us to just stream of consciousness, get into the frame of mind of whatever we were going to write about, and then just write without any censoring, just start writing. And so even if it's not making sense, even if you're spelling it wrong, even if, it's just total gibberish, you just write. You write at least a full page, if not 2, if not 3. And you just let it all come out. You surprise yourself with what comes out of you. When I'm writing like this for a show, I'm going to put myself in the emotional place of the character. Where are they right now in this song that I'm trying to write? What is it they're feeling right now in this moment? What is it that needs to happen in this song? Get myself emotionally in that place and then do the diggler. And then what I do from there is I'm going to go back through this stuff, this text that I've just written, and I'm going to find the gems, which means I'm going to get myself into the text, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to find words that I like. So I'm seeing the word kaleidoscope in here, and I'm seeing stuff about shifting into a new picture, like a new perspective of some kind. So I'm going to pull out some of the phrases and words and things that I really like, that I think, hey, this is something worth playing around with. And I'll take a look at how much I've pulled out, and I'll say, is this enough to play around with? Is this enough to actually form a song out of? And if it's not, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the diggler exercise again, and I'm going to continue doing that until I've culled enough material that I can put together something that's worth taking a shot at. And then I'm going to ask myself again, okay, what is it? What is the hook? What's the main idea that the character's trying to communicate? And then I'm going to take those gems that I've pulled and I'm going to start writing a chorus of some kind, writing, something that's going to help me communicate that emotion or that event that needs to occur. All right, so if we're going to talk about music, oh my goodness, so many things. So many things for music. It's absolutely impossible to talk through everything when it comes to music because, what's the tone? Is your show sung through? What style? What key is it? What time signature? Is it just piano? Are you going to orchestrate it with drums and guitar? And what's the vocal range of your actors? Is it a duet? Is it a solo? All the things. There's so much to learn. There's so much out there that you can turn to learn some of these things, but for the purposes of today, I want to just leave you with one, what I call a rule, but this is coming from me, so this take it with a grain of salt, but one kind of maxima rule that if you keep to this, your songwriting will be stronger and will improve. And that is that we need to always work to have the melody and the rhythm serving the lyric. So the melody and the rhythm of your song should serve the lyric that you have written. And I'm going to show some examples about this. And the reason that we need to do this is so that we can keep the emphasis on the right syllables, or the emphasis on the right syllables. So any notes that are ascending, going up, or any notes that are a jump, they're an interval. You're jumping a third, you're jumping a fourth, you're jumping a fifth. That's going to automatically and naturally put emphasis on whichever syllable is on the higher note. Sometimes the lower note, but for now, for these purposes, we're going to talk about with higher note. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm just going to say shout out to MuseScore because it's free. It's free. It's free. Did you hear me mention that it's free? You can go and get this online, download it, learn how to notate. It will be clunky at first, but it will change your life as a songwriter to be able to hand people actual sheet music. So go learn how to do that or find someone who can. All right, so we're going to take a look at a lyric. So let's say I did that Diggler and I pulled out these words and I decided like, okay, I like the idea of a kaleidoscope and that we're changing our perspective. So I've written this lyric, and just like a kaleidoscope, the pieces tumble out of line into a new design. So I'm going to start thinking about the natural rhythm of how this lyric is spoken just in regular life. I'm going to start thinking about how we speak. And just like a kaleidoscope, the pieces tumble out of line into a new design. I'm going to start to feel what the natural rhythm is of that. And then I'm going to take some, different stabs at a melody. So I'm going to sing through these examples and we're going to talk about which ones work and which ones don't. So let's see this first stab. So if we were to sing this, and just like a kaleidoscope. Yep, it's Top Gun, you're correct. This didn't really accent the important word. It ended up accenting like, and just like a kaleidoscope. Like isn't an important word in this. So we're going to take another stab at it and see if we can shift things around. All right, let's take a look at this one. And just like a kaleidoscope. So this ended up accenting the words and then the do part of the word kaleidoscope. And those aren't the most important ones too. If we're looking at the word kaleidoscope, it's the lie that really gets most of the emphasis in the word. So we're going to try again, and we're going to see if we can shift the emphasis to where it needs to be. So this one, and just like a kaleidoscope. Well, now we've taken all the words that aren't as important, and just like a, we've given them little stepwise melody that doesn't have a lot of jumps in it. And then we've allowed the kaleidoscope of the word to sing out. So we're getting closer. I think this one could work really well. If you want the word kaleidoscope to sing even more, you could do, and just like a kaleidoscope. Now it does go up on the do, but since we've already given we've already emphasized that lie so strongly, the do just being one step above, it works. It still works. Well, actually half a step above. So you could do it that way too, but either of those last two would work. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. The way that the lyrics and the melody come together is called the prosody, Prosody, of the line, and that's really an important thing to pay attention to, no matter what your accompaniment is doing, which instruments you use, if it's a duet, if it's a solo, all of those things are, the cherry on top and the thing that we do to whatever, add our personal flair to our show. But those things can't save the song if we don't have a good marriage between the melody and those lyrics. All right, so we're going to quickly talk about pathways to production. This is the exciting part. People want to know, how do I get my stuff on stage? So after I've written a show, well, what's next? Well, more writing and rewriting. You're never going to be done. You're never going to feel like you're done. And that's going to be really tough at first. But, you just learn to embrace it. The fact that you're never going to feel truly finished. And that's okay. but there is a lot of rewriting to be done. The best thing that you could do for yourself is to hold a reading. There's a few different kinds of readings. A reading means basically it's not memorized. They've got scripts. A cold reading, I would not recommend for a musical, but you could do it if you have people who are really good sight readers. Cold reading means they haven't seen the script at all before the performance. They just are given a script and then you go through it. A rehearsed reading, they've got the script in hand and you've had some time to rehearse. That's usually a great first step. Often they're standing at music stands with their script, and it's just a great way to hear a show on its feet, to figure out what's working, what isn't, hear audience reactions, get feedback. Stage reading is when there might still be music stands involved, but you have gotten some movement in there. You've got people using the full space to tell the story rather than just standing in a line at music stands. You can do this for free in your living room. Get your friends together. Ask them to come and do this for you so that you can hear your piece out loud and get some feedback. It doesn't have to cost money to do this. You can hire actors, but it will cost you money. In general, a reading of a musical is going to run you about $1,500 to $2,000 if you're going to be paying professional actors and a music director, etc. All right, you could self-produce, you could raise money and just put on your own production somewhere by renting a space and making your own costumes and doing the thing. You could do that. It's possible. You could put it in a festival. So this is my shout out to the Fertile Ground Festival. It's going on currently right now as we speak in the month of April in Portland every single year. This is a festival of new theater work. Anybody, and I mean anyone, can write a show and have it be part of Fertile Ground. There are many venues around town that participate and offer space that you can rent. Basically, you can self-produce. Some theater companies produce runs of things. There are anything from fully produced world premieres to cold readings of plays. Check it out, fertileground.pdx, and we would love to see some of your stuff be part of it. I just had a reading on Sunday at Artist Repertory Theater. It went really well. Maybe a school, maybe your school. I know Tualatin High School has been producing student plays as of late, which is really exciting. Talk to your theater director. Maybe they have a student directed slot that they could help you develop a show. That'd be cool. Or the end all be all, a professional production. There is no set way to get yourself professionally produced. It is an enigma to us all. Every single show is going to have a different route to get to that point, and it's never guaranteed. You just have to be resilient. You have to lean into your connections, get involved in the community, join playwriting groups, online, and learn who the players, who the movers and the shakers are in the theater world. Be supportive and positive in all your interactions. Grow relationships and then just keep going. Now, these are my parting words. Don't get discouraged. It's a long time to write a musical. It takes years. So make sure that you do it with people that you enjoy being around if you're in a team, in a writing team. Otherwise, that will be a very long ordeal for you if you're doing it with people that aren't your favorite. There's no set path to getting it right. You're going to write and cut hundreds of songs over your lifetime, and that's okay. Maybe even in one show you'll write and cut hundreds of songs, and sometimes you're going to cut your darling favorite song, and you've got to be willing to do it if it's not working. If it doesn't help the show, you've got to get rid of it. A rejection letter is not a failure. If you're receiving rejections, that means you're submitting, and that in and of itself is success. There's so many people who dream about doing this and never actually do anything. So if you're sending stuff out and you're getting some rejections, it's okay, because that is 99% of what happens when you're writing stuff for the theater. And there's so many so many different things that go into a theater choosing a season or a competition choosing a winner. And, sometimes the stars don't align right now, but you never know which theaters really love the show that you sent them. They just can't produce it this year. They may come back to you years down the road and say, hey, I've been just waiting and waiting until I could have a chance to do this show. Are you interested in letting us produce it? So don't write theaters off. If they send you a rejection letter, keep the relationship strong, keep it positive, and keep going. Always remember, Miss Holly believes in you. I am always here for you if you want to send me stuff. I've already had people sending me stuff, and it's been lovely to read through things, listen to things. I love giving feedback. Please send me an email. We're all amazing weirdos. This thing of writing musicals, it's a strange thing. There are not many people on this planet who do it, and we need you. We need you to write the stories that are in your heart, so please, please, please keep going. If you have questions or anything else to say, please email me, holly@hyrichards.com. You can learn more about me at my website, which is hyrichards.com. This QR code that you're seeing on the screen was a link to receive this slideshow, but also to sign up for information if you're interested in a possible virtual musical theater writing class where we'd go more in depth into some of these concepts, and I would love to have you join if you're interested. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today, friends, and get out there and write a show.